What's up and welcome back, you silly sons of bitches. Has it been 6 months since my last video? Yes. Are we going to talk about that? No. We've got bigger fish to fry. We're on the line here at Sandy Oaks Campground in Kiethsburg, Illinois. The flag waves, I get a good jump and I'm just salivating because we got this long, deep, sandy open start where I can just let the 50 plus horsepower of this 2014 KTM 300 loose. As we start to pull away here, we'll talk a little bit about how last year we kind of established ourselves as a mid-pack, maybe upper mid-pack finisher, but this year we've got bigger goals. With a few of the top guys graduating out of the C class, I thought this was my year coming in to establish that I am one of, if not the top dog to deal with. And we're off to a pretty good start as far as that goes, securing my first ever hole shot in the opening round of this 2020 season. There's two things that I want to touch on real quick here as we get going. One, this was the opening round, a little rusty. I fucked up the GoPro angle. So sorry about that. I'm normally pretty on point with those things, but just bear with me for this one video. The second thing, as we start to get into some small trees here, is that I'm not running any handguards. Would not recommend that for a hare scramble, but I think at this point I had bent 2 sets of full wraps and I was looking for a different product that might hold up a little bit better. Skipping forward as I politely start asking people to make way, you'll realize that less than 2 minutes into our race, we're already running into the traffic from the classes that left before us. That's going to be kind of a running storyline or a theme throughout this video and even through the rest of the season. It's something that I didn't really have to deal with that much last year, but it's a really nerve-wracking experience for there to be kind of a roadblock in front of you and you know your competition behind you is catching up and just trying to navigate that whole process. You'll hear me yelling, you'll hear me revving the bike a little bit, just anything I can do to try to make these passes efficiently. That's something that I'm trying to figure out on the fly, just how aggressive I need to be to, not get caught from behind. Perfect example right here, I've got somebody in my own class showing a wheel on me, trying to make a pass. Probably because I've been, sitting behind this guy in the blue too long, who I would guess is in the light C class. So it's like, what do you do? I mean, obviously you want to take good lines and make the passes where you can, but at some points we're running 3 bikes wide here. So what do? You got to get a little creative and extra aggressive. And in doing that, we get off course a little bit over here, plowing over a tree with our handguardless bike. That tree then becomes a passenger, and maybe I should have hung on to this thing and just, as I pulled up behind somebody, just bopped them on the head like Rafiki from The Lion King.
Ow! Jeez!
The people in front of me, it's not really their fault either that they're slower. So trying not to be an asshole, you'll see me moving all over the trail, trying to figure out different lines to make a pass. While I'm trying not to be too overly aggressive, to the point where I take somebody out or I crash myself, I figure out, well, maybe I'm being a little bit too passive because somebody in my class, the guy on the Honda there, just went past me. So yeah, definitely a big balancing act and something that I'm gonna have to figure out and get better at as time goes on. Now we're sitting in second place and it's kind of turning into a battle of who can navigate this traffic better. I think a lot of this traffic could have been avoided with just 2 minor changes, but we'll touch on that here in a little bit because right now we got a battle happening for first place. I get back past Caleb and we play a little game of role reversal. This time it's him getting caught up in that slower traffic. Now that I know he's right behind me, you are going to hear some frustration start to spill out, just not being able to get past some of these people in front of me quick enough and knowing that he's catching up or going to make another pass on me. Okay, so earlier I said we're going to touch on 2 things that I think could have alleviated some of the traffic and got us spread out a little bit quicker. One of those things being this checkpoint. They normally do not do this during the first lap, so I'm not sure what changed for this particular race, but yeah, we normally don't stop on the first lap. I actually came out of that checkpoint losing a couple spots. I was not expecting it, not paying enough attention, and by the time I realized there was a checkpoint, I had rolled into the line that was way longer, and I think I watched at least 2 people go by. That just means there's a little bit more work for us to do before we can get out into clean air and actually race our race, but luckily the 2 people that went past in that checkpoint were not in my class. We're behind Morgan Wheelwright, and if you've been around the channel for a little while, you might remember her. We had some good battles last year. Sometimes her and I run the same class. This particular day, I was running open C, and I think she was running light C. which means that she would have left in one of the rows before me, which is another one of the two things I wanted to touch on from earlier. After politely asking that guy to get the fuck out of the way, we're going to come up to a real nice open field turn where we can finally make a pass stick on Morgan. Then as we come back into the woods, we're going to stop for just a second to admire a couple of these pictures that Nick from Squash Photography snagged of me. It's always nice coming home from a race, finding out that somebody snapped some pictures of you while you were out there, and this guy Nick, man, he's walking all over these woods getting shots, hence the name Squatch, but you'll definitely be seeing more of him in this video. I mean, he's everywhere. Things are finally starting to spread out a little bit traffic-wise, so yeah, let's get back into talking about that. Now I'm racing the morning race, which is basically the C classes and the old guys. With the exception of maybe the plus 50A class, I would think Open C that I'm racing would be the class that has the majority of the fastest people in this race. I would have liked to see them put us out front on row 1 for the start, maybe to deal with some of that traffic, but then again, if you went and asked anybody on that starting line from any row, they would probably say, yeah, we should be row number 1, so I guess I really don't know, but I feel like we should have been out front. Nice little line over a log here to make a pass, and apparently I was pretty pumped on it.
Let's go.
Then we come up behind this Frankfurt kid who rips for what size bike he's on and how old he is, racing against us on the big bikes, especially in all this gnarly sand and rollers and whoops. No thank you. But at the same time, it is a race and we gotta go. I know it's hard with this dumbass angle, but try to look ahead and watch this guy hit this hard packed slick spot on the trail, because we're going to come real familiar with it later on in the race. So not sure if this guy pulled over to let me by or if he just got squirrely again, but either way, we're starting to get into the territory where we're just picking off people one by one, getting a little bit more open track. We come up behind this guy into this really deep sand section, and he's going to end up holding us up just a little bit, and then boom, just like that, guess who's back? So you got Caleb showing me a wheel, taking what was a nice first place stroll and turning it back into a race again. And I'm not going to lie, your boy was, oh, wait, hey, there's a Squatch again. But yeah, your boy was tired. I mean, this was the first race back after the off season. They normally run the first and the last round at Kiethsburg in this series just because it holds up so well to the weather. But yeah, I mean, I was pretty much coming straight off the couch and, you know, not like everybody else wasn't, but right at this point I was hitting that first wall, that initial arm pump, and I just had to let Caleb go by. I tried to hang on and match pace for a second, but I mean, I quickly realized that, you know, I was having trouble holding onto the bike, and if I was going to push it and try to keep up with him, I figured I'd probably just end up making a mistake that cost me more time, so we just had to let him go. So we pulled up to the checkpoint, and we're going to be taking off from here to start out lap number 2 in second place. I'm not sure who this guy is, but damn, man, we just had all kinds of people out here taking pictures. I can't say for certain, but it looks like we were starting to get a little bit of life back here as we come into this open field corner and make another pass. Some of these damn whoops out here at Kiethsburg are so big, it's like riding Supercross trying to double through a rhythm section, and I don't do it very well. And then, oh hey, who would have guessed it? Another Squatch sighting. We come into the checkpoint for lap 3, and Alex seems to think I'm missing something.
Hey, you're missing some stuff, man.
Oh, what?
I think he thought I was missing my handguards, but joke's on him because I never had them to begin with. And then who is this guy just getting all the angles? We come up on Kevin with his miniature bike after giving him the friendly Ric Flair.
Let go.
And then, oh my god, I come so close to amputating this guy's cankle. I have no idea how I didn't hit it, but if I did, even with the boot on, it would have been a real bad day for him. Then we're right back into trying to double these big ass whoops. Still no dice, but definitely better than rolling over each one individually. Now, like I said earlier, it's time to get familiar with that slick spot and take our first sand sample. Then we make a pass coming into this deep ass sand again, and I don't know whose family this is, but I'm pretending they were cheering for me. I about pancake these kids on a pit bike who clearly don't know they're in the danger zone around me. I then smash through some rollers and we're gonna roll back into the checkpoint for lap 4. We go past this guy who's pulled over and we're coming up on our old friend, but wait. He hits the double! Okay, for real though, I know it didn't look like much, but that was some groundbreaking shit for me, and I was pretty hyped about it. But the world decided that I needed to be humbled, so this happens. I take a stick straight to the dick. Hey look, somebody else found this slick spot.
You okay?
We roll in to mark another lap down. I think that's 5. I don't know. Who's counting? We're riding dirt bikes. Doesn't matter. Just kidding. I'm fucking tired. Who knew all you gotta do is screech like a pterodactyl to part the sea of riders in front of you. And then look at this time. I don't yell because it's a girl. That's called chivalry. Or is it more sexist for me not to yell at her because she's a girl? I don't know. We then come up on a guy who's down and not responding. But I know he'll be okay because he's got back to squatch. Yeah, that's right. I bet y'all didn't know I could sing like that. Now I just need you to take a second to listen to this comical ass shit.
Oh my god. I'm a fucking A-class rider, boy.
Old boy got 4 inches of air and turned into a whole different person. But anyways, whoever that person is, they just pulled in for lap 6. And then somehow, with all this open space, I managed to get myself hung up passing this guy. And I'll be damned if somebody from one of them old fart classes doesn't just go blow my doors off. We catch up to him out here in the open where there's not really much of a match for the 300, but I'm not sure what class this guy was in. I assume 50A, but it could have been 50BC or hell even 60 plus. All I can say is I hope like hell I can move like that when I'm 50 or older. We make another quick pass, hopefully put a little bit of a cushion between me and old Orville back there so I can breathe a little bit. I'm not necessarily racing him, but at the same time, I don't want to get passed by anybody, whether they're in my class or not. I want to be the fastest guy out here for this race.
What the fuck is going on here?
Get a little off course here. I think there was just some ribbon down, kind of threw me for a loop. Now we're headed up the hill to the jump that apparently turned me into an A-class rider. This time we're lucky enough for there to be a Sam Squatch camped out there to capture me in my full A-class glory. As I come into the checkpoint to wrap up lap 7, they got the white flag out, and thank Christ, because I don't know how many more laps I could have done. And because I value your time, we're going to cut this last lap down the super short way, but I can sum it up for you. It's basically just me catching up to 1 or 2 people at a time who are lap traffic and screaming or squawking like a bird at them until they get out of my way, which is pretty damn embarrassing because I fucking hate birds.
Let's go! Fucking shit! On your left, thank you! Woo! Let's go!
So I pull into the finish line to wrap up what was my best finish to date, a 2nd place out of 37, which I was pretty stoked on. And then after that, in the pits, we're going to catch up with the old guy who we were battling with. And the whole time, just watch the background. There's a Sam Squatch who he just wants acknowledgement for what he found in the woods.
What a race, brother.
Holy shit.
That's badass race.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you got that last slow guy, and I couldn't fucking get up to you again.
That's the one fucking thing that I've been, well, a lot of things I've been trying to work on, but
Passing,
getting by, just being aggressive, not fucking waiting for somebody else to, you know, dictate your pace. That's fucking...
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.